Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today we're here to take a look at the books that I am going to be reading in the month of April.
It's coffee time.
So April is not going to be like the other months. I think April is going to be a month in which I'm going to be a little bit challenged because I personally love organization. I love to have things organized. I love to know exactly what I have to read, when I have to read it, how many pages. I know this sounds very OCD, but in my defense, I'm a Virgo and this is what we do. So normally I have, developed a system this year to read books based on my TBR card. I have developed categories and I pick one book for each category. The goal being getting to as many physical books, all TBR books that I have, to get to as many as I can of those. However, when April came around, I realized that I had to focus on other type of books. Which ones those are, we're gonna take a look at them in a second. But before I forget, if you're new here, if you love horror and you love books as well, please consider subscribing to the channel before you leave, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future coffee times. So let's talk about our April TBR pile. So I have realized that I have a lot of new releases that I have to focus on in the month of April. I have 3 pre-orders on Amazon that, to be honest, who knows when they are gonna show up. So it's going to be kind of a surprise TBR. I will get to read the books when I get the books, so we're just gonna have to figure it out. And the other books are NetGalley arcs that I got from book releases for the month of March and April, and I really want to catch up with those because they are new releases that I'm interested in. That's why I requested them, and so I would like to get to those as well, which is going to be another challenge for me because that means half of my TBR pile is going to be ebooks, and normally I don't read so many ebooks in one month, so I'm just hoping and praying that's not gonna make me get into a reading slump or anything. But anyways, I have a list of 10 books that I'm going to try to read in the month of April. I have decided to keep it only at 10 because in the month of March I made a terrible mistake. Very terrible mistake, which is when I finished my TBR pile for March and I put it nicely where I have my books that I have to read that month, I decided to add House of Leaves and the Grisha trilogy. I just was like, I can do it. I'll just put them in a pile. It's gonna be okay. It was not okay. Now, I have not entered a reading slump or anything, but I felt like I was really forcing myself some days to read, and I don't want to repeat that in April. We don't want to really push it to the reading slump, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more free on April, and yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, book number 1. It is one of my most anticipated releases for 2021, and that is Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman. And I really want to read this book. It is based on a true crime story about some school trials and the satanic panic of the 80s, and I've just been burning for this book. I've been waiting patiently. I requested an arc. They didn't give it to me. I was sad. I cried about it. We got over it with coffee, and now I'm ready to receive my copy, so hopefully Amazon will deliver it soon. The next one is Mina and the Undead by Amy McGaw, and this actually came out on the 1st of April, but I forgot to mention it on my new releases video, and I had actually pre-ordered this one. So this one is supposed to be an interesting kind of different take on the vampire story, but it says that it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Stranger Things, and I'm like, yes. And it's about this 17-year-old girl called Mina that lives in the town that inspired the story of Dracula. So she is, really immersed in the whole vampire kind of culture, and she gets a job at a haunted mansion. She loves horror, and apparently somebody is replicating some murders So I'm hoping this is gonna be a little bit bloody, that it's gonna be cool, and I'm hoping to love the vampire here in this book, because you know, vampires have been also a little bit overdone. Same that happened with zombies, but I'm always a sucker I'm always a sucker for vampire stories. That was not intended, but you know, happens. And the last book that I have pre-ordered is Near the Bone by Christina Henry. I just absolutely love how messed up and disturbing her stories are, and I'm super excited about this one because it is about a couple that has been living in this house in the mountains, and all this time they think they've been alone. However, one day they discover the mutilated body of a fox, and they realize that might not be that alone after all. And I'm just hoping this is going to be everything that I want from the book. I think this is the first time I'm going to read a book by her that it's not a retelling from a fairy tale, so I'm really excited about that as well. Now let's take a look at the arcs that I have received from NetGalley and that I will be reading in the month of April. The first one is Everyday Monsters by Travis Bentz, and I already talked to you about it on my last video, but this is basically a story about Derek, and his father has been accused of committing certain murders, and they say that it's because his mental health is not stable. And Derek feels like his father has been accused wrongly, and he is determined to seek revenge and prove that there are such things as monsters. I believe he finds a friendship in an undead girl, and this is a dark comedy horror, and I don't read so many comedy horror, but I'm really excited for this one. The next one is Shopping Spree by Angela Sylvain, another one that I have talked to you guys about, and it is about a town that is famous for these 80s fashion mall where all the shops are kind of 80s, and this girl Penny finds a job there at a store, and the co-workers look a little bit weird. They all have the same mark. She doesn't know what's going on, and one night she stays after the working hours for a party, and apparently people start being butchered. So I'm here for the splatter, you know. I'm hoping this is going to be bloody. The next one is Your Time to Suffer by Tim Wagner, and this one I was excited about because I believe it has to do with a cult. At least we deal with a society called the Cabal. So Lorelai starts getting calls, I believe, and letters about the society, the Cabal, and is telling her that she needs to pay for her crimes. The only thing is she doesn't know who these people are or what she did, and so she starts investigating, and anything that could potentially be a story about cults, you know I'm gonna go and read it. The next one is The Redwood Asylum, a paranormal horror story, and it follows the story of Jessica, a 26-year-old that takes a job in this asylum among the, you know, the crazies, and I love stories about asylums. I just love everything that is creepy and weird, and she meets one of the patients in 5B, and she starts uncovering some truths and secrets from the past of this patient, and also she starts questioning her own sanity. And I love this kind of books where you don't know if the main character is insane or if everything is actually truth. I don't know. I'm just really excited for this one, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good one about asylums, because asylum books, I have the feeling, are either hit or miss for me, so we shall see. And the next one is a thriller called Watch Her Fall by Erin Kelly, and this one I'm excited about because it's been said it's Black Swan meets Killing Eve, and it is about a ballet company that is performing the Black Swan, and there are two swans in the story, the black one and the white one, and apparently one person has received both roles, so a lot of people would kill for that role, and apparently everybody wants to make this person fall. They want to see her suffer. I'm really hoping that this thriller is really gonna go dark, and we're really gonna see some really nasty stuff and some revenge. I just hope. And those were all the NetGalley arcs that I wanted to read for the month of April, and now I have The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. I finally got my copy. It took a while, but I really want to get to this one. It is about a vicar that moves into this small town, and apparently a lot of stuff has been going on in this small town. 500 years ago, 8 martyrs were burned at the stake. 30 years ago, 2 girls went missing, and 2 months ago, the vicar that was working there committed suicide or killed himself. Something happened, and that premise, I'm just loving it. And I mean, excuse me, have you seen this cover? And I've heard it's her best book so far, and as I have mentioned before, I have been loving her books more and more progressively. Every book that she puts out, I love a little bit more than the last one. This is her 4th book, so I'm really excited. The last thing that I would like to check out in the month of April is actually a novella. I thought I would try to make things easy for me and pick out something that is under 200 pages. Plus, I really want to read more novellas. This horror novella, it is Silver's Hollow by Patrick R. Delaney, and it is about a young woman that awakens in her hometown with no recollection of what happened to her. And not only that, but she also doesn't seem to recognize her surroundings, so everything is really weird, and she's trying to figure out what happened to her. So obviously she's going to be trying to figure out the truth, as it happens in many of these stories. I also enjoy stories about people that have no memories of what happened to them. As you can see, anything that is messed up and twisted, I find interesting. Maybe that's why I love horror so much. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I just like disturbing stuff. So you guys, those were the things that I am planning on reading in the month of April. I still don't know what's going to happen because I do depend on the new releases to be delivered to me on time. So we shall see. If they don't come on time, I'll have to spontaneously add other books to the TBR pile. So it's going to be kind of a surprise month. And you guys, like I've mentioned, I don't like not to have the control over things. That's not who I am. I love to control my TBR piles. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me as well, but I'm just gonna go with the flow. Anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what are some of the books that you're planning to read in the month of April. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. As always, thank you so much for your support. Remember to give it a big thumbs up before you leave as well. It really does support the channel and gives it visibility, and I hope to see you all guys in the next coffee time. Bye.